this younger generation are becoming Christians online in their bedrooms by themselves. They're then being discipled online. So there's huge discipleship challenges. So we had a young lad rock up to church who, it was his first time ever in church. And he walked straight up to the pastor after the service and was like, I've got some thoughts on how you guys do communion. And he's been a Christian for like 2 weeks, but he's listened to all this stuff about how communion should be done in church. And then we've done it differently. And he's like, this is not right. And I must say something, because he's been discipled online by somebody and then come into the local church setting and gone, well, I know what's right.
Yes, there's a couple of things that is there. So our colleague Phil did some research, and so people finding faith in adulthood, 40% come to faith on their own. So that's one big trend. So they don't necessarily have a friend or a church connection. So they come to that afterwards. So their encounter is kind of directly with God, which is amazing. And they have this, but it means they don't immediately have somebody they trust to start the journey with. So they'll tend to come into maybe a church environment and they're much more, I'm deciding if I like this because I have a personal relationship with God. I'm going to see if you meet what I'm expecting. And again, there's nobody immediately to help navigate. And then there is that consumerist part to that. I was reading something again this morning about, and it's so bite-sized. There's two things. It can be the bite-size. That's one critique, that it just click to the next thing because we're used to that way. But also a lot, particularly of the guys that I talk to, they're used to consuming 8, 10, 15, 12 hours a week of content.
Yeah.
So the half hour on a Sunday at best, they're going, I'm churning through another 8 to 10 hours of stuff over here. And so they're going way beyond, as you said, with these questions about communion or something else, because they've read or they've listened to a whole lot of stuff, some of which is wonderful, some of which is less than wonderful.
Yeah. And so actually for churches or just, Christians who are discipling new believers, to have some good content under your belt that you've watched of, people online who you trust, that you can actually send to a new believer to say, listen to this, watch this guy, have you watched this? And then have a conversation with them about it. I think that's a great way to disciple someone, because they're consuming the content already. If you can point them in some good directions, that's a great idea. And of course, there are loads of people who are becoming Christians who aren't finding church at all.
Yeah, I suppose so.
They're just being discipled online and they're not in church. Well, they find it's so countercultural to submit yourself to a community. We are such an individualistic society that the idea of going to a church, making yourself vulnerable, committing to something weekly, giving up one of your days off, your precious days off, to go somewhere to worship with other people, when that's never been something you've ever done in your life, or no one you ever know has ever done this, that's such a huge step for people, that there are lots of people who are, have definitely made a commitment to Jesus, but don't see the point of local church.
So I think if there's one takeaway, certainly for me, out of this episode, if you were like, no matter where you are, whether you're interested in Jesus, whether you've been following, it's to be connected to a local community, to a church.
Totally.
Because I totally agree with you. People who don't yet know Jesus are on the journey in, are saying, do I want to be in it? People in it are kind of like, I'm so about it and I'll go when it suits me. And again, church has become almost an optional extra for some people, because this is why the church attendance numbers are so hard to kind of process and analyze, because actually people are definitely attending less. We know that anecdotally and statistically. And then churches aren't able to serve the community in the same way because people aren't there and volunteering. But church community is both the most challenging thing about being a Christian and the most wonderful thing, I think. Because it does bring us together with such a diverse, multi-generational, ethnically, socially diverse community. And we do have to submit to one another.
Totally. And it's one of God's greatest gifts to us as believers, like as someone who became a Christian from a non-Christian background, was exploring faith by themselves, became a Christian by themselves, enjoyed reading the Bible by themselves, consuming Christian content by themselves, but then found I went to church. It was in church I actually learned what it meant to be a Christian, because I got to watch people who were older than me living out their faith. I got to watch people that were younger than me learning about the Christian faith. I just got to watch real life happen and Christian life happen. Just being part of community has been so key to my discipleship. And yes, it can be challenging, but it is what we are meant to do as Christians. And it is such a gift to us, our discipleship and our lives. Like the local church is just such a blessing. So yeah, I would echo that. If you haven't found a local church, do find one.
Do them.